Μνήσομαι, ουδε λαθώμε, Απόλλωνος εκατείο, όντε θεοί κατά δώμα διός τρομεού συνιόντα.
I shall remember not to neglect Apollon, who shoots afar. The gods of the house of Zeus tremble at his coming, and indeed all spring up from their seats as he approaches, stringing his splendid bow. His father offers him nectar in a golden goblet, and drinks a toast to his dear son. And then the other gods sit down as mighty Leto rejoices, because she bore a valiant son who carries the bow. Leto had to go through untold hardship before she gave birth to Apollo and Artemis, his twin sister. Hera was justifiably in anger at Zeus, her husband, who had chosen to beget such important children by another goddess. So she spitefully demanded that no land should allow Leto to bear her offspring there. The goddess was forced to wander from mountain to valley, from city to island, from Crete to distant Thrace. Every place turned her away for fear of Hera. But when she set foot on Delos, a poor and rocky island, she was made welcome. And there, after 9 days and 9 nights of travail, the pains of labor seized Leto. She yearned to give birth. Throwing her arms around a palm tree, she propped her knees on the soft, smiling meadow beneath her, and Apollon sprang forth to the light. Divine offspring do not take long to grow to maturity. As soon as Apollon tasted ambrosia, he threw off his swaddling clothes and spoke, and all the gods heard him. I will hold the dear lyre and the curved bow, and I will prophesy to men the will of Zeus, who never errs. With these words, the long-haired, far-shooting god walked away over the earth and its wide roads, and all the goddesses were dazzled, while all Delos with gold was laden, looking upon the offspring of Zeus and Leto, who bloomed as does a forest on a mountain peak. How shall I match the hymns sung in your honor, Apollon? Am I to sing of you as a wooer and a lover of maidens? Coronis, Manto, Marpessa, Daphne? Or shall I sing of how you went all over the earth, looking for the right place to found your oracle? You first descended from Olympus, and made your way past sandy Lectos, and the Aenians, and Perhaboi, and soon you reached Iolcos, and set foot on Kenyon in Evia, renowned for ships. You stood on the Lelantine plain, but it did not please your heart to build a temple with wooded groves. From there, O far-shooting Apollon, you crossed Everipus, and you went along a sacred green mountain, and leaving you came to Mycalesos and grassy-bedded Tephmesos. Then you arrived at the forest-covered abode of Thebes. No mortal as yet lived in sacred Thebes, and at that time there were no paths or roads yet in the fertile plain of Thebes, but forests covered it. From there the god went onward to reach Onchestos, the fair grove of Poseidon, crossed Kephisos and the many-towered Ochalea, and arrived at the foot of Parnassus, where he stopped by a spring next to Lake Copais. The place pleased him, so he decided to build his temple and oracle there. However, Telphusa, the nymph of the spring, feared she would be overshadowed by such a mighty god if they shared the same domain. So she tried to dissuade him, saying that he would be annoyed by the pounding of the chariots and the horses watering at her spring. She urged him to opt for Crissa instead, beneath the fold of Parnassus. Apollon believed her and went onward until he reached Crissa, beneath the snow-covered Parnassus, a foothill looking westwards, with a rock hanging above it and a hollow and rough glen running below it. There the Lord Phoebus Apollon resolved to make a lovely temple, and spoke these words. Here I intend to build a beautiful temple, to be an oracle for men who shall always bring to this place unblemished hecatombs, and as many as dwell on fertile Peloponnesus, on the mainland and throughout the sea-girt islands will consult it. And I, in my opulent temple, will give them unerring advice. With these words, Phoebus Apollon laid out the foundations, broad and very long from beginning to end, and on them the sons of Erginos, Trophonius, and Agamedes, dear to the immortal gods, placed a threshold of stone. And countless races of men built the temple all around with hewn stones to stand there forever and be sung by many. However, Telphusa's advice was sly. Near the spring, there dwelt a baneful monster, Chimera, a fearful she-dragon feeding on animals and people, until Apollon, the first dragon slayer, pierced her with his arrow and left her lying on the black earth, where the holy fury of Helios made her rot away. Hence the place is now called Pytho, and people call Apollo by the name of Pythios, because it was there that the blazing fury of Helios made the monster rot away. In anger against Telphusa's duplicity, the god set out and quickly reached her abode. First he covered her stream with a shower of rocks, and then built himself an altar close to the spring, where all men pray to him, calling upon him as the Telphusian lord. When this was over, Phoebus Apollon pondered in his mind who he should bring in to celebrate his rites and be his ministers in rocky Pytho. As he pondered these thoughts, he described a swift ship on the wine-dark sea, and there were many noble men on it, Cretans from Minoan Knossos, who to sandy Pylos and its native dwellers they had sailed in their black ship for barter and goods. Mighty Apollon went to meet them at sea, and looking like a dolphin, he leapt on the ship and lay on it like some great and awesome monster, and it entered no man's mind to know who he was, as he lunged about and shook the timbers of the hull. They sat on the ship afraid and dumbfounded, and neither slacked the sheets in the hollow ship, nor lowered the sail of the dark-prowed keel. But as they had fixed its direction with ox-hide lines, so they sailed on, for a rushing south wind pressed the swift ship on from behind. First sailing past Malea, and then past the land of Laconia, they reached a delightful place where Helios gladdens mortals, Teneron, where he always grazes his long fleeced sheep. They wanted to put the swift ship to shore and land to recount the great portent and see with their eyes whether the monster would remain on the deck of their black ship or leap into the briny swell which teems with fishes. But the well-wrought ship did not obey the helm, and went her way off the shore of Peloponnesus, steered by Apollon with a breeze. They traversed Arene and lovely Argithea, and Thrion they skirted, the ford of Alpheus and sandy Pylos, and all Messene, and Chalkis, and Crunoi. They sailed past Dyme, and off the shore of Elys, where the Epioi are lords. When they reached Pherae, winged by the wind, they saw under the clouds the mountain of Ithake, Same, Dulichion, and wooded Zakynthos. But as the shore of Peloponnesus was left behind, and there loomed in the distance Chrysa's boundless gulf, separating Peloponnesus from the mainland, a fair wind, decreed by Zeus, came rushing down vehemently from the sky, so that the ship might soon traverse in speed the briny water of the sea. Then they sailed back towards the dawn and the sun, and the Lord Apollon, son of Zeus, was their leader, until they reached the harbor of conspicuous Chrysa, rich in vineyards, where the ship grounded on the sands. Endless are Apollon's miracles. As soon as they cast anchor, he leaped from the ship like a star, his gleaming shafts enveloping all of Chrysa in light. From there, swift as thought, he leaped back into the ship in the form of a strong and vigorous man in his prime, his mane covering his broad shoulders, and addressed them with these winged words. Strangers, up to now you dwelt about wooded Knossos. Now you shall no longer be on the homeward journey, bound for your lovely city, your beautiful homes, and dear wives. You shall remain in this land, and you shall keep my honored temple, the newly founded temple which is mine. And I proudly declare, I am Apollon, the son of Zeus. I brought you here over the vast and deep sea, entertaining no evil thoughts, but here you shall have my opulent temple, which is greatly honored by all men, and you shall know the will of the immortals, by whose wish you shall be honored forever to the end of your days. But come and obey at once whatever I say. First, slack the ox-hide lines and lower the sails, and then draw the swift ship onto the land, and take your possessions out of its keel. There is one more thing I want you to do, to make an altar upon the beach of the sea, then light a fire on it, and offer white barley, and, standing around the altar, say your prayers. As you first saw me on your black ship leaping out of the misty sea in the form of a dolphin, so pray to me as Apollon Delphinius. The altar too shall be called Delphinian, and be forever conspicuous and honored. Then dine and pour libation to the Olympians. And when you have rid yourselves of desire for food, you should follow me, singing a paean. The Cretans obeyed. First they drew the ship onto the land and secured it with props underneath. Then, after they had made an altar, they sacrificed and prayed, as the god had asked them to do. When they finished, they poured libations to the gods and had a meal. And when they rid themselves of desire for food and drink, they set out to go led by Apollon, the son of Zeus. His step was high and stately, and with the lyre in his hands he played a lovely tune, and the Cretans followed him, beating time. They followed him to Pytho, singing a paean in the fashion of Cretans, singing when the muse has put a mellifluous song in their hearts. They walked up the hill unwearied, and soon reached Parnassus, and the lovely place where he was destined to dwell, honored by many men. He led them there, and showed them the sacred sanctuary and opulent temple. But the spirit was roused in their dear hearts, and the leader of the Cretans addressed him and asked, "Lord, since it was your wish to bring us far from our dear ones and our fatherland, how are we now to live? This we bid you tell us. This place can give no crops, nor can we turn it into meadows for our herds, from which we might live well and be in the service of men." And Apollon, the son of Zeus, smiled on them and answered, "Foolish men and poor wretches, you are for preferring cares and toilsome hardships and straits for your hearts. Put in your minds the words I will speak to set you at ease. With a knife in his right hand let each one of you slaughter sheep forever, and there will be an abundance of them brought to me by the glorious races of men. But guard my temple, and receive the races of men gathered here, and especially heed these words which are my firm wish. If a spurious or wantonly insolent word is heard, as is the custom among mortal men, then you shall have other men to command you, and by force be your masters forever. I have told you everything. Do keep it in your mind." And so, son of Zeus and Leto, farewell, and I shall remember you, and another song too.
Πώς ταρ σύμνησο, παντός ευύμνον αιώντα.